Okay, let's talk. Okay, quiet. Okay, so today, reserve the whole day. The new assignment is just review problems. There's no new concepts. Now look at me. Unit 3, like I said, is a combination of Unit 1 and 2. I just have this compulsion to keep doing this. I don't know why. But it does force you to use the concepts from Unit 2 and 3 sometimes in different ways. So there's nothing new that I need to tell you to get these done. You just got to learn to apply the concepts sometimes in the same way, sometimes in a little different way. Do not fall behind on homework. The Unit 3 test will arrive fairly quickly. It's the first week in December, and with the Thanksgiving break, it kind of happens quicker than you think. So make sure you're caught up in homework. Cramming for Unit 3 won't work. So today I've reserved the time to simply answer any questions you might have from the problems that were assigned from the bug packet last time. If anyone has a specific problem you want to talk about together, we'll do that. Matt?
29.
29. So look up, please. No one talks. No one talks. Hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. That's okay. Hey, everyone should have a flashcard that says this. If you don't, look, you got your flashcard there. Verify that you have this card or something that's pretty much equivalent. If you don't, I want to give you one to make a flashcard. The card should say basically, should write this. Let's say this. Tangent, slope, or route can't be. That is a little bit faster. Colin's gonna make me do it again. The tangent, that better, Colin? The tangent slope of f of x can't be found from a table of f. So, what I said the card is, use adjacent, come on, adjacent. There you go.
Also, I noticed that Jimmy that Americans would use happens, like it obviously is a little bit different from regular because he was in between. But in this case, it was far away up the front. That's the other.
Yeah, you don't have this card, you need it. This question shows up very regularly on the AP test every year. This idea of, hey, they're asking me to find something out about a tangent slope because they want me to find f prime at 1.2. So I'm supposed to be finding the tangent slope of f right here at x equal 1.2. But all I have is a table of f values, so I can't do that.
It's okay, I think it's going to be careful because you're not dealing with things on your set. Like, it's not 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. It's 1.1 to 1.2. So you have to be more careful. I don't know if it's just you have to multiply by 10 when you do your parameters. I don't know if normally that's simple or if that's difficult.
They'll test you on this once in a while. It's not too bad, but you're right. The arithmetic's a little bit worse.
I just know that that thing has the correct answer, but when I did it, I think that it seemed to me like you were the most natural way. And it's like, 1.8 and mine 0.18.
I just remember that 0.2 divided by 0.1 is 2, so. 0.2 divided by 0.1 is 2. That makes sense? Sorry. That would be good. Yeah.
So it's kind of the ratio between the two?
Secant slope is the change in y. So for example, from this x coordinate to this x coordinate, tell me how much did the y coordinate change?
Oh, the y coordinate. It changed 0.2.
0.2. And from this x coordinate to this same x coordinate, how much did the x coordinate change? Secant slope means take the change in y and divide by the change in x. So this is the value of the secant slope between these two coordinates. And then I would do the same thing again. So we'd say the secant slope no copies. Oh, you have one there.
Yeah, there is it.
Okay, does anyone have a question about what I've done so far? Oh, like, got it. So the flashcard helps remind me of that. So the tangent slope of f can't be found from the table of f. So I'm going to find adjacent secant slopes. So I'm trying to find the tangent slope at x equal 1.2. There's two secant slopes that are adjacent to that specific point. The secant to the left and the secant to the right. That's why I chose those. A picture also helps, Maddie. This graph of f appears to be increasing. And they tell us that f double prime is negative, so that means f is concave down. So f's going to look something like this, I suppose. This is my picture of f. here are the points. So this is 1.2, 4.38. This one is 1.3, 4.56. So I want to do some whole class tickets here. So everyone in the room can earn these, just gotta raise your hand and answer. Okay, first of all, does anyone have a question about anything that has been done here? Awesome, so here's the whole class question. Everyone who knows the answer, please raise your hand. Who can tell me the slope of the red line? Just raise your hand and tell me if you know the slope of the red line. Look at what I've done, see if you can tell me the slope of the red line. Raise your hand when you know it. You don't have to do any computations, you simply have to make connections between what I've done, what I've drawn. What's the slope of the red line? Okay, everyone who has their hand raised and is correct. So let's go, Haley.
The red line.
2 tickets for a good try, but no. Like I want the slope of the red line. Slope of the red line. Oh no, who else knows? Show me your hand. Slope of the red line. Let's go, Michael. 1.8 is the slope of the red line. That's what I computed. Slope equals 1.8. That's what I was computing up. Let's see, 1.2 to 1. That's what I computed, right? The slope of the red line is 2. Who said 1.8? Trying to do me messed up.
1.8 is the other thing.
There we go. So this slope is 2. Okay, so Michael gets 2 points for a big try. So raise your hand if you knew this before we finally figured out that this was 2. I will give all of you 3 points for having the correct answer. Raise your hands, please, everyone in the room. Who knows the slope of the green line? Who knows the slope of the green line? Show me. Who knows the slope of the green line? Just look at the board. Who knows the slope of the green line? Hannah?
1.8.
Hannah says this slope right here. Write it in, hold on. This slope is 1.8. Raise your hands if you agree with Hannah. 2 points, 3 for Hannah. Okay, I've done this last time, where 1 means you understand completely, fully, 2 means you don't. Show me if what we just did makes sense to you, 1 or 2, please. Lost Rachel, she's working, keep going up. Okay. Working is a good thing. 2 points for the room, good work. Okay, I want to see your eyes up here, so look at me, look at me. Look at me. Okay, I have people have been telling me this for 13 years. They'll say when we talk about things in class, it makes perfect sense. I feel really good about it. And then when I get home, I can't seem to put the concepts together. That's very normal, okay? It's just very normal. But what we're trying to work together at doing is this. I'm trying to get better and better at making sure the concepts make sense when we talk about them. Your job is to find ways to make sure that memory stays permanent. Like the idea, like once you say it makes sense to me, you've got to find a way to make that permanent. Flashcards are a good way, notes are a good way, but you have to do something. Like I cannot make it permanent for you. There's just no way. Like I can keep explaining it, but if you always just come back to me, then it doesn't help on a test. So you got to find someone to make it permanent. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, whole class question. Be prepared to answer this. Raise your hand if you can tell me. Just looking at the picture, does it make sense? Let's do 1 or 2 here. Does it make sense that the purple slope, that purple slope has a symbol? This is f prime of x equal 1.2. That's the slope of this line. Okay? Does it make sense that the slope of that line must be something that is, let's see, it's got to be more than 1.8, because there's definitely more positive than 1.8, and it's got to be less than 2 because it's definitely not as positive as 2. Show me 1 or 2 if that made sense. Tickets for everybody. Good work. So that's why this is the answer. That's why this is the answer. Yeah. Please.
So we have the conjugate, like, when we're talking about there's like conjugate down decreasing that like bottom row of the chart. Does that mean that the sequence looks
Sarah said something really important. We made a flashcard like this in Unit 1. I remember making it. If you don't have it, make sure you create it now. Something like, it's what Sarah just said. If F is concave down, then the tangent and secant slopes of F are decreasing. And I don't actually use the flashcard, Sarah, I do what you did. I just look at Danica's chart. And the chart says that if F is concave down, F prime is decreasing. So I know the tangent slopes decrease. And then I just remember that, oh, if the tangent slopes are decreasing, the secants are as well. So, is that your question?
So if concave down, then everything's decreasing?
All of the slopes are decreasing.
Oh.
Like a picture is the best way to explain that. So look here for a second, Sarah.
Oh, point is in between.
The tangent and secant slopes of F are decreasing.
A tangent slope is in between any two secant slopes that go all the way from both sides. And the secant slope on the left and the secant slope on the right is in between.
So right here, Sarah, help me. I'm going to call this tangent slope 10. It's quite steep. The next tangent slope that I draw, would it be more or less positive than 10? Is this line going?
Oh, left.
Yeah, you see that it's left. So I'm going to call this 8. We'll call this 5,
1.
2, just a contradict column. 1. 2 points for a good joke. All right. Mark it down, then. Mark it down. Does this make sense to you, Sarah? Good. So when the curve F is concave down, as you go from tangent to tangent to tangent to tangent to tangent, you'll see a decreasing pattern. That's what the chart is telling you. The secants do something similar. So if I were to go like this secant's got to be between 10 and 8, so we'll say it's 9. The next secant has to be between 8 and 5, so I don't know, we'll say 6. The next secant has to be between 2 and 5, so maybe 3. But those secants also have a decreasing pattern. Does that make sense? Good. You also have a follow-up question. You also have a different question from the buff packet. I spent a lot of time on this. You're up next, Abby. I spent a lot of time on this because this is heavily tested. It happens all the time on weekly tests. You'll follow up.
Yeah, a little bit. What if you were going from like the 10 to the 5? Like,
A secant.
I mean, obviously that would be more than 3 and more than 5 or less than 10. But like it wouldn't tell you whether.
Well, it's less than 3.
Yeah.
It's just between
Like,
10 and
is it
5.
parallel? Not necessarily, right? It's not necessarily parallel to the 8. So, all we know is
Not
that
necessarily. Just between.
5 and 10.
Abby, which one? Yeah, just between columns. You can look it up. It's called the mean value theorem. to me here in a second, Abby, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So to give us some sort of equation, we can equation.
Y equals X, Y,
Thank you. And they have a point that's x equal, and they want the equation of the line change or just the slope?
He says that the equation.
Oh, it says find y prime, right?
Then yeah.
So they want y prime at x equal -1 is what they're really asking for. Does that make sense? Is that what it says? Okay, cool. I'm gonna pay the whole room for this, get ready. Speed matters on this, like, I need you to raise your hand quickly. If you don't raise it quickly, you don't get the point. Please raise your hand if you have this flashcard in blue, please. Check that one. No, make sure you create one. 2 points for that, well done. Okay. So we need that information over here. We have a curve, we have a function, a relation. My new joke is that I like math a lot better when every graph I draw always looks the same. It make graphing much easier. So
yes.
feel free to use my technique. Never really liked graphing when I was studying math, so now I like it because it's really easy. My favorite graph. Cool. All right. Not the best joke, but whatever. So we have a point here, x equal -1. We're supposed to find y prime, which means the slope of this curve at this point. That's what we're trying to find. You should also have a flashcard that looks like, in fact, I'm going to draw a new one here. We already have this card, but I'm just changing the wording slightly. They always change the wording on AP questions, so the more ways I can show you what something means using different words, the better prepared you'll be. Use the derivative of any function to find the slope of that function. So you should have a card that says something very similar to that. If not, please create a new one. I have 8,000 cards on order, so if anybody wants another card, I have plenty. Just ask for it. Okay, so we've got to find y prime from this thing. So we take the derivative of both sides. Use the add subtract rule first. Use the product rule. Pause there to see if anyone has a follow-up question. We good to there? Cool. Keep going. Things around. Factor. divide draw a new picture. This other one's way up there now. We know from the flashcard that we can use this equation for y prime to find this slope. Let's just check the whole room. Okay. Raise your hand if you know what the x and the y in this equation are representing. You have to keep track of representations. Like, what does the x and y in this equation for y prime represent in the context of this entire problem? All we know. What does the x and the y here represent in the context of this entire problem? I want more people to raise their hands, so talk to somebody around you so you can raise your hand as well. What does the x and the y in this equation represent in this problem? What's that? It is. Usually I record A2, but A2 was way too short yesterday, so you guys get to be the recording today. No video, just audio. Whatever Hannah says, we hear pretty well because the microphone's close to Hannah's. Hi. I was just joking. He asked if I was recording. I said yes. And the microphone's close to you, so. Okay, hands up, please. Hey, who knows what the x and y represent here? Show me your hands. Show me your hands. What does the x and the y here represent? Who knows? Let's go, Mitchell.
Is it the x and y coordinates on top of that?
Okay, listen how he says. You said it perfectly. Just make sure you don't ever forget that. This x and y, think about it. They came from this equation way up here, which is the equation. So these x's and y's represent all of the x and y coordinates here. And when we did the derivative, the meaning of x and y didn't change. So this x and y still represent all of the x, y coordinates here. It's perfect. 3 for Mitchell. How many knew that before he said it? Show me your hands. 2 points. Now I want a 1 or a 2. How many understand that completely? Show me 1 or show me 2 if you don't, so I can say it differently. How many understand that completely? 2 points for everybody. We're pretty close. Let me just try and say it a different way. So they give you an equation like this. And what the equation is really saying is that there's an infinite list of x, y coordinates that if you plug in one of those x's into this equation and you plug in the corresponding y, the equation will be true, like it'll work. You pick another pair of x, y coordinates that also are part of the function, plug them in, the equation is still true. So there's an infinite number of x, y values that make this equation true. Does that make sense? Okay. That's why we say that the x and the y in this equation, they simply represent every single x, y coordinate in this graph. And then all we did was we applied the derivative operator to both sides of the equation. That doesn't change the meaning of x and y. It simply created a new variable, y prime, which has a different meaning, but the x and y meaning stays the same. Does that help? It's still the points here. Anybody else? Awesome. We're supposed to find y prime at this point. We can't because we don't know this value of y. Someone suggests, what might we do to find this value of y?
We can go up to the original equation and plug in the -1 and the x, and then find y.
Nicely done. Because that's what the equation is for. The whole purpose of the equation is to find x and y. Well, we know the x we are interested in, so we simply plug in that x value. Please develop this habit. Good habits lead to good scores, leads to a good life. So So let's see, x equals -1. Whenever you replace a variable, please put in a set of parentheses to replace the variable. That will prevent mistakes and lead to a good and happy life. This. Becomes, let's see, negative y, this becomes +1, +1. If we add the y over, we're going to get 2y is equal to 2, which means the y value when x is -1 is 1. So I have found this y value to be +1. Questions? We lost Katie on the phone. Getting close. I actually took somebody's phone away the other day. Didn't make it to the office yet, but I'm getting there. So learning how to be straight. Okay. It's just because of laughing. Very good. Any questions? Cool. Good. So now all that's left to do is plug in the values of x and y. Come down here and we say y prime when x is equal to -1 and y is equal to +1 is going to equal, again, replace the variables with parentheses. Have it sleep to a good life. People with bad habits struggle with life. Might leave. Does that make sense? You're welcome. Sorry, I didn't do the lame jokes along the way. All right. Let's have a different question from the thought packet that I would be able to help you with. Please, Matt. 38. There's 38. It says find an equation for line tangent to graph of f at the point 0, 3. The graph we're looking at is not f. The graph we're looking at is f prime, so I need to draw f. So that's easy because every f function in my world looks the same. So f looks like this. The point of interest is 0, 3. So let's find the equation of the line tangent. So draw the line tangent. Immediately remember the formula for any line looks like this. It's another question so far, please.
What is that when you go equation for any linear line? What do you get for every line?
Oh, got it. It's because on the AP test column, when they use the word line, they mean linear.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll use the word curve when they mean non-linear. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I just use their language. It's a question. It's a point. Anyone else have a question to hear? Maddie, is that good so far? Cool. Raise your hand. Okay, speed matters on this one. Raise your hand if you know what we can immediately fill into this equation. Hands, please. Speed's important. What can we immediately put here? Brittany?
0 and x and y.
Perfect. So I know this so far, and my equation is y is going to equal m times x minus 0 plus 3. Raise your hand if you knew that before I wrote it. 2 points, 3 to 3. We have a follow-up question. Important down slide, and the thing is kind of bothers me. Thank you. Anyone else? Cool. I need to find the slope of the tangent line. We already talked today. I made a flashcard, in fact.
It's actually graph
There we go. Use the derivative of any function to find the slope of that function. So I'm trying to find the slope of f right here at x equals 0. I have a picture of f prime, so I go to x equals 0. That's the point on f prime, 0 comma negative 2. That means this right here is the slope. Okay? Show me 1 or 2 of what I just did made sense. Show me 1 or 2. I'll do it again. Show me 1 or 2. Show me 1 or 2. 3. It really didn't make sense. Okay, no worries. Come back, come back. Hey. Good. Hey. Just raise your hand on this one. Raise your hand if you have a flashcard that tells you this. Raise your hand if you have a flashcard that tells you this. If you don't, please get hands down. 2 points back. Raise your hand if you need a flashcard, a blank one. Need one? Okay. Look, this flashcard is the key. So is everybody clear on that? Give me 1 or 2 if this makes sense. Come on, 1 or 2 if this makes sense. 1 or 2 if this makes sense. So we're good to there. So go back to the picture. Here's that. I need to find the slope of the orange line. The slope of the orange line is exactly the same thing as the slope of f when x is equal to 0. One more time. The slope of the orange line is exactly the same thing as the slope of f when x equals 0. Give me 1 or 2 if that made sense. Come on, 1 or 2 if that made sense. The slope of the orange line is exactly the same thing as the slope of f at x equals 0. So one person's still a little foggy on that. If I look at f, and help me for a minute. I know you know these questions. If I look at f, are you clear that f has many different slopes? Because f is a curve. But right here where f is tangent to the orange line, the slope of f and the slope of the orange line become the same. Does that make sense? That's all I said. I just maybe didn't use the right words. So the slope of the orange line is the same as the slope of f at x equals 0.
Okay.
Good at that? Cool. Please,
If the graph was different and the points were different that it was talking about, like if it was like 2, 3, then would the slope of it be 0?
Hey,
Because
yeah. Hey, listen, look at me. Look out. Okay, I said earlier today that once something makes sense, once you tell me it's making sense, then my job's kind of done. Like, it's not that I don't want to keep helping, but I just can't. There's just no way for me to do it. Like, you've got to transfer the knowledge to yourself. Okay, 5 points for Heather. What you are doing is a really good way to transfer that knowledge, which means you think of how it applies to some new situation. And you just ask them, you say, okay, am I thinking of this correctly? So let me see if I read your mind correctly. What you said was, what if the problem were slightly different, we were trying to find the slope of a line that is tangent over, say, here. So I'm going to draw it a little bit different for a second. So my f graph's going to change just a little bit to make sure I can answer Heather's question. Let's say we want to find the slope right here. And so Heather said, just kind of making up a problem here, that this point is going to be x equal -2 and y equal whatever, we don't really know. And we want to know the slope of this line. And I want to see how many in the room can tell me the answer. Here's f. Here's x equal -2. Based on what we have been discussing, what would be the slope of the green line? All we know. All we know. Let's go, Hannah. So Hannah says the slope of this line is 0. How many are willing to be friends with Hannah, please? Very popular. 2 points, 3 for Hannah. That's what you said, right? And it was perfect. You came over here and you said, look, on the graph of f prime, when x is -2, the y value is 0. That means that the slope over here is 0. That's perfect. You need 1 or 2 if what we just did make sense. You need 1 or 2 if that made sense. Show me. Nice! Good! Nice! That was sweet. That's some good times.
5 tickets.
5 tickets. Good work. Mark them down, man. Mark them down. Everybody's happy on that one. All right. Okay. No, really, hey, the excitement is real because that connection, hey, look, that key idea will show up repeatedly all year long. It just keeps showing up over and over again in different ways, different problems. Everybody's good. Perfect. Uh-huh. So what we said, Sarah, was we're looking here at the graph of F, and we come to a new point on F. And it was just something Heather was thinking about. So that's kind of random, but it's totally valid. So here we are at x equal -2 on F. You with me? If you want to know the slope right there, because we have a graph of F prime, it's really easy. Every y coordinate on F prime is telling me a different value of the slope on F. So I simply go to the same x coordinate on F prime, x equal -2. I find the y coordinate to be 0. That means the slope over here on F at x equal -2 is 0. Does that make sense? Please.
And it would be the same with like the, and then like on -3,1, that the slope would be 1.
Just keep going here. Find another new point. I've worked too hard, my head hurts now. So go like this. So at this point we're -3, comma, we'd say f of -3. And I can tell you with certainty that the slope right here, running out of room to write things, this slope is definitely equal to this y coordinate, which is 1. Perfect. Please, Courtney.
Would you like to make a card?
Yeah, no worries. So this one here, right?
Yes.
Good. Have I told you the hitting the board story? Oh, I haven't told you?
No.
Right, so let's pull it after school. So who's heard the hitting the board story? Different classmates. Okay, so I'll tell you quick. So I've been doing this for years. I kind of watch for a moment when literally like the class makes a really good connection and you're all really focused, like you just were. And then without giving any warning, it's like, yes, feels really good. Okay. Last year, A1, January 25th, the same thing. I'm getting all set up for the big moment. Yes. I made one mistake. I've been doing this for years. I've never made this mistake. I was teaching an idea and I called it the brute force approach. So yeah, we got to use the brute force approach. And she knows I teach her about this, so she's fine. Cindy Turner in the back. She's like, yeah, Mr. Smith, brute force approach like this. So instead of like surprising the class by going bam like that, I went like this. Bam! And I should not have. Don't ever hit things with your fist. It's very dangerous. As soon as I hit the board, I could feel nausea coming over my body, like from the shock of what had just happened. Okay? Like seriously. Like I started to feel faint. And I'm like, ah. And the class like, what did you just do? Because they could see my expression. Like with you guys, like, bam, and I'm like excited. I was not excited. Like the pain was overwhelming. I went to the doctor, got my hand x-rayed. He's like, who did you hit? I says, you have suffered what is known as a boxer's fracture of the fourth metacarpal bone. So the bone right here broke. So the socket that connects the bone here and here doesn't work right anymore. It's like, notice how I can spread my fingers, look. Okay. Still works. I can't move it. Like I can do that okay. It's decent now, but I just can't open it. Don't hit me. That's just not smart. Okay. Palm is safe. That's what I just did. The palm works really good. One time I did that, your sister, Emily, she's super kind, so I hope she doesn't, I don't do this with her. So she's sitting right here. I like get off, I'm like, man, good job. I turn around, she's on the floor. And her books and stuff are all around her. Like she just lost it completely. And I felt really bad, like, oh, wait, let me help you back. I got to she's just like going, oh, I just startle easily. So you can sneak up here. Oh, so this is true then. All right. You else have a different question about?
Are you trying to smack the fire?
You else have a different question? Please, go.
Wait, I just need to
You're good.
check what I have.
No worries. Let's take a little break over here.
Oh, just 32.
32.
I just think I did a mistake or something.
So you felt like you got partway through, just couldn't finish or
Or,
something?
oh, no, this is my question. How come it starts with 0 instead of, oh, wait, never mind, I understand.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
It was after school, has anybody ever like taught you about it before you did it? Like,
Oh, hitting the board?
forgot to do?
No, I'm pretty sneaky, right? I don't do it very often. If you did it all the time, you'd start to die. It's always like that. So once or twice a year, something. One time I had the class so focused that when I did it, I watched the class. I really wish I had a video. Like, I'm serious, like every single person in the room, it was like the wave in a football stadium. Like, they rocked back in their chairs, like 2 feet, then just came right back. Like, the shock was just so severe. All right, anybody else have a different question? Please. Sit down. So you guys have relived the slamming of the board experience. You can go watch it again on video. You can't watch it really. Hear us talking about it. Watch it on video. Brittany, I'll need you to kind of tell me the keys here in a second, okay? Brittany, they gave you some function. What was the equation of the function?
So y equals 2x plus 3 over 3x minus 2.
And they want the line tangent at.
1,5.
Thank you. You get to there. So we need to find the slope of the red line. So we talked a lot about finding the slope of the red line means I've got to go find the derivative of that. So we'll do that work over here. Taking the derivative of both sides means I have to use the quotient rule.
Morgan Topham and Allie Weichert, please come to the main office. Morgan Topham and Allie Weichert, please come to the main office.
Thanks, Mike.